Is Jonny Evans the best centre-back at Manchester United? It's an interesting conversation because, as we know, he's had a bit of a renaissance. No one thought that this defender, who was once at Manchester United, would come into this season and be arguably our best centre-back. But is that talk all hype, or is it actually justified? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Sani-That sports guy, talking all things sport. And, of course, today we're speaking football, and we're speaking Manchester United because we need to speak about Jonny Evans. He started out the season as a fifth-choice centre-back, but in terms of the league minutes, he's played 43% of them for Manchester United. For a United team that's obviously struggled with control and consistency, he's been that one constant. And if you think about it, back in November when he got injured and he missed a couple of games, I put a pretty good bet on the fact that he probably would have played those games as well. So that 43% that I just said, it could have been a lot more. I know there's going to be talks about the attack, Garnacho, for example, in that game against Everton. But in that 2-0 win, he was a solid presence, and for me, he was the best player on the pitch. In that game, both Everton and Man United were definitely looking for the counter-attack, and it relied on the individual quality for those chances to emerge, hence why those two penalties actually came to Manchester United's aid. Of course, from a Manchester United perspective, really happy. We've had a lot of injuries, we don't have a proper left-back or a centre-forward, but we still managed to win. But on the flip side, if you look at Everton, they managed 23 shots on goal, which is just not good enough for a Manchester United team, especially at Old Trafford, playing against a side that is 16th in the league. And although 23 shots were faced by Onana in the defence, there was a clean sheet. And the reason that was because of the defending inside the penalty area, with Jonny Evans being a key reason for this clean sheet, having 4 blocks and 4 clearances in the penalty area. Don't get me wrong, Evans has his limitations. He might not be the most progressive with the ball, for example. He might not have the most pace, for example, especially in a team such as Manchester United that would like to play a high line. However, at the end of the day, when you're a defender, your first job is to defend. And he does that to great effect. If you look at this map alone, all of his defensive actions actually happen in the penalty area, because that's what he's all about. But the limitations to his game that I did raise is a bigger concern, I think, for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. And I've mentioned it in a video previously where I spoke about Erik ten Hag and Ange Postecoglou, and how Ange Postecoglou never went away from his ethos, whereas ten Hag did. Because this season, Erik ten Hag wanted that high press and that aggressive counter press that he wanted our team to have. And in order for that to be, he wanted the central defenders to be a big reason for that. However, due to injuries and obviously tactical dysfunction, that hasn't really happened, and we've now seen Jonny Evans come into the fold. Because if it wasn't for Jonny Evans' defending in that game, that XG that Everton had of a 1.48 could have actually meant goals. And the funniest thing is, you take away our 2 penalties, our XG was only a 0.98, going to show that if anything, Everton were probably more potent than us. They just didn't have a finisher to put it away. Therefore, you got to give credit to Jonny Evans. If it wasn't for Jonny Evans, and especially his last-ditch defending, we could have actually been conceding a lot more goals. We already remain porous in midfield, and when it comes to the press, especially higher up the pitch, we're lackluster. We're always facing shots. The fact that we faced 23 shots is an absolute disgrace, because we faced 467 shots in the league alone. Only Sheffield United have actually faced more shots than us this season, which is unbelievable. And that's the problem I think Ten Hag's facing, because if your attack isn't clicking, then at least your defence can somewhat prop you up. But if both of them aren't working, then what can you actually point your finger on and say, we're actually doing well? Yeah, I know people are going to talk about oddities and injuries and everything else. But there's only so much you can actually say to the manager and give him that benefit of the doubt before you start suggesting whether he's actually up for the job. And I say that because this summer is a crucial summer for Manchester United. There are going to be many outgoings, many ingoings, not just on the pitch, but also off it as well. And ultimately, Ten Hag might be another person that's in that limelight as well, just like I am, sitting in front of these lights. But the player that definitely took the limelight this weekend for Manchester United was definitely Jonny Evans. Because that resurgence and that renaissance is something to definitely behold. Because Jonny Evans, he's back. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's a really interesting one with Jonny Evans. No one really thought of Jonny Evans as being one of our best centre-backs this season, but he's done an absolute fantastic job. Obviously, credit to Ten Hag as well. I mean, he's the reason he signed him, and he could easily have just discarded him and said, oh, yeah, I'm going to put Kumbala on instead, for example. He stuck to his guns and obviously got a massive 3 points. Champions League, that's definitely the aim for Manchester United this season, I think, after a definite underwhelming season, I'd say. And whether we make it or not remains to be seen. But if we do, I think we have to give Jonny Evans a lot of credit, because he's definitely making a massive impact for us moving forward as a club. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on Jonny Evans. Do you think he's obviously been playing well, or do you think it's all a bit of hype and I'm just saying it for no reason? But as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to smash a like if you haven't already done so. Comment your thoughts on Jonny Evans and this renaissance. Please share with your friends and family. And if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. But as always, until next time,